Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains, and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strains. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo.
Hello and welcome to day 24 of Vlogmas 2022. My name is Tracy and I host the Knitting on the Float podcast. It is a balmy 5 degrees Celsius today. It is raining. I'm just sort of standing a little bit under cover so I'm not getting dripped on. I don't know if you can see down the way we've got ice flows going down the river. Last night it was really quite icy, but today it's feeling a little bit warmer. It is Christmas Eve. I have lots on my to-do list, but I wanted to share with you just the view off of the float house. Very different from the past couple of days where we've had freezing rain and snow. It's now typical Vancouver rain, and I have to say it's actually quite welcome, especially with the low tides we've been having. So this will help to melt some of that snow and make those low tides a little bit higher so our houses don't ground. Anyway, let us go inside and let's show you my to-do list and get on with the day. Today is going to be a busy day, but I wanted to sit down for a few minutes and tell you what I have planned. I have figured out my Christmas Eve cast on, and I'm kind of cheating a little bit. I'm pulling out my beautiful Little Bobbins vintage fairy lights bag, and what I will be casting on are the Feathering the Nest socks. This is a pattern by Danielle George, who is Little Bobbins, and I absolutely love this pattern. I made a big boo-boo last year with my Christmas Eve cast on, and I was casting on the Be the Light socks by Alice Jeffries, who is Homebody Diaries, and I wanted to do them so they were cuff down, not toe up. And so when I was looking through the pattern, I just assumed that it was a 64 stitch pattern and cast on 64 stitches and did the cuff. But then when I got to the patterning section, which I was going to do upside down so that I could have the flame patterns, I realized that my stitches didn't match, and it was a 60 stitch count, not a 64. So this was my Christmas Eve 2021 cast on. And for Christmas Eve 2022 this year, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get another needle and I'm going to cast on same sort of cuff, 64 stitches, 3 rounds of this color instead of following the Feathering the Nest pattern exactly. And I'm going to then turn these into Feathering the Nest socks, and of course the other sock will be a Feathering the Nest sock too. And at some point I will do the Be the Light socks, but I will know to put 60 stitches on instead of 64. But I just thought, for this year, why add another project that's going to create a bit more stress? Let's finish these ones off, because last year I also cast on the Curious DK socks and I finished those, but these have been languishing in my beautiful vintage fairy lights bag for a year. So it's not a full-on true Christmas Eve cast on, but it will help to get these socks off my needles, clear a set of needles, and be a little inspiring. This is the color that I will use for the top of the cuff. And then what I will do is start with the feathering the nest pattern right there from sock 1, and then I'll probably not work concurrently. I'll probably just finish off sock 1 with the red and then start sock 2. This is Nora George Yarns on trial. Yesterday I gave away the socks that I had done for the Knit Vent test knit, and I gave them to my neighbor. It was her birthday, so she tried them on, and she had never had a hand knit pair of socks before, and she was over the moon. She says, "Oh my gosh, these fit amazing." And yes, hand knit socks are so wonderful. So while it's not a full-on Christmas Eve cast on, you know what? It will do this year, and it will eventually free up a bag and some needles, but I will need to grab another set of 2.25 needles so that I can start sock 2 today as my cast on, and then continue with sock 1 from last year. So that will be my Christmas Eve cast on. I've been thinking about it all week, but got the pattern printed up today. And again, there it is by Danielle George, and that will be a nice calm thing to work on over the next little while and probably into January. So that is Christmas Eve cast on planning in my brain. I will probably start this a little bit later on today because I've got a big to-do list. The other thing, one of my other traditions that I do on Christmas Eve is I have these beautiful bayberry candles. And a bayberry candle burned to the socket puts luck in the home, food in the larder, and gold in the pocket. And oh, I love these. They smell so wonderful. And so these genuine bayberry candles made from the wax on the berries of the bayberry shrub have been the traditional holiday candle since colonial times. Burned to the nub on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, they bring good luck for the coming year. A white powder called bloom forms naturally on the surface of bayberry candles as they age. And so what I will do is I will burn one tonight, and then I will burn one on New Year's Eve. Oh, they smell so good. I love the smell of these. So I will start those when we return from service this evening, and usually I'll sit and do some knitting while I am watching my bayberry candle slowly burn down, and I have pulled out my little candlestick to put it in, and then I'll put it on a plate too, just in case there's extra wax drippings, because even though these burn really nicely and really clean, the wax does fall. I'm trying to see if there's anything else I need. I do need to grab a 2.25 needle, but that's just getting that prepped for later on. This afternoon, I have quite a bit to do. I created a to-do list last night because I was feeling a little bit anxious. And let me just pull that up. And so I have my Christmas Eve prep. I have one thing checked off so far. And on there, I need to go up in this rain to the garden to check for some rosemary and thyme. Tomorrow night, we are having a Christmas dinner with a group of the houses like we did on Thanksgiving. So if you tuned into Vlogtober, I showed prep for our Thanksgiving meal, and because in Canada Thanksgiving is in October, and we had Thanksgiving next door, and 5 of our houses came together and we each supplied something. So this year I am doing potatoes, stuffing, carrots, broccoli, and then I'm making trifle. And if I had actually just looked at that, I would have seen that. So I need to check the garden for some fresh rosemary and thyme. I have a feeling that over the past few days, it's maybe frozen up. so may not be very good, but I'll check. And then I'm going to prep the trifle, prep the potatoes, prep the carrots. I want to make some bread dough because I want to try and make something special tomorrow early morning. I need to get the stockings all set up. I did get the wrapping done last night, so today me, thanks yesterday me for doing that because I didn't want to, but I did. There wasn't a lot to wrap, but you know, enough. Next thing on my list was bayberry candles, so I do have that out. And then Christmas Eve cast on is on my list, so I've got that now planned in my brain. I wasn't sure what I was going to do last night. And then my last thing here, December 24th, Vlogmas. So at the end of the day, I will edit the video and publish and put this up. So today, just a little bit of a chatter now. I've already shared with you what I'm going to do for my Christmas Eve cast on. I'm just going to do little snippets of prepping. So just short little things, and that will hopefully make editing fairly quick tonight, and get through the tasks I've got to do so that I can relax this evening. So I need to get to my tasks so I can start checking them off on here. And is there anything else I can check off? I don't think so. Not yet. Not yet, but getting close. Anyway, it is a rainy day. I better go get a raincoat on, and I'm not going to take you up to the garden with me because you should stay nice and warm and cozy and work on your Christmas Eve cast on while I go up and check the garden. I will check in later as I am prepping the trifle, the potatoes, the carrots, and getting those all ready. Tomorrow I'm going to do the stuffing because there's no point doing that today. And then I'll finish off the rest of the trifle, cook the potatoes, cook the carrots, but I just want to have that all done. And then we will check in a little bit later on when it's time to do the cast on. That will be nice. And when I get to light my beautiful bayberry candle, and just one more sniff to get me through the day. I will see you later. Before I go up to the garden, I wanted to mention something. I'm going to put an end card on today, and that end card is going to be a link for Melanie Doan's new song called Light It Up, sort of thinking of the Be the Light Socks and Light It Up. Melanie Doan is the singer who sings Happy Homemaker, which is my podcast song, and she is a Toronto artist. And she also runs something called U School, and Nathaniel is part of U School. It's ukulele school, and there's also Uke U on CBC that she hosts. So I'm going to link to her Christmas song, and you might enjoy listening to that after you have finished watching this podcast. So I will put that on as an end card, and I hope you enjoy that new song. It's a nice Christmassy and seasonal song. I am dressed to go out and check out the garden. I'm not hopeful. I did bring a Ziploc bag with me. I borrowed a hat because I can't find my knit hat. And I've borrowed my old rain jacket, Isaac's rain jacket, because it is wet out there. Anyway, I'm going to pop up to the garden. Wish me luck. I was actually pleasantly surprised. The rosemary and the thyme weathered quite well, and my goodness, it smells so nice. As nice as the bayberry candles? Maybe not, but it smells really good. I think the thyme didn't quite weather as well, but I have enough that I should be able to use it for the potatoes and carrots, and it should turn out quite nicely. Better than using the powdered thyme the powdered thyme and the dried out rosemary that is way too old. So fresh rosemary, fresh thyme, other way around. Oh, smells so good. I am just finishing up the potatoes, about to start the carrots, and the sun has come out And my dancing queen has started to dance because there's a little bit of a ray of sunshine over there, and that makes her happy. Me too. I almost forgot to show you the carrots before I put them in the fridge. So salt, pepper, rosemary, thyme, both fresh, and carrots and a little bit of olive oil. Okay, let's take a look at my Christmas Eve prep list. I have checked the garden for rosemary and thyme and was successful. I have done the potatoes, I have done the carrots. I have not done the trifle, I have not done the dough or anything else on my list. However, 4 checks is good. We are going to be going to service shortly, so I better get myself changed. And then when I come back, priority, trifle. If the dough doesn't get made, the dough doesn't get made. That one's not anything important. And yeah, my Christmas Eve cast on will trump dough anytime. We are back from Christmas Eve service, and Greg is prepping supper, and I am about to prep trifle. So I use jelly rolls, Del Monte Very Cheery, and I have some Jello, and then I will be using Bird's custard, and then I have some wonderful whipping cream, but I will use that from the dairy tomorrow. I won't make the whipping cream until closer to dinner tomorrow. Anyway, checklist is slowly coming along, and I'll show you what this looks like in the prep stages once I've got the first bit done. Some of the trifle prep is done. So I have the jelly rolls. They are now soaking in the Jello and fruit mixture. And I will make the custard and the whipping cream to go on afterwards. But I'm just going to cover this over and put it in the fridge overnight to soak and get all yummy for making up properly tomorrow. But there's the prep for trifle. No sherry in this one though. My plan had been to make some dough, and that was for this recipe by Recipe Tin Eats. Naggie's recipes are always so wonderful, and yummy. But I have decided that that might be taking on a little too much, so maybe in the days after Christmas, leading up to New Year's, that Twixtus bit, that would be a good time to try this recipe right there, because it does look delicious, but it's a little bit more intensive than just making a dough for bread or for pizza. So I think I'm going to leave that off my checklist tonight. And that leaves me now with, remaining on my checklist, stockings, lighting my bayberry candle, my Christmas Eve cast on, and finishing off Vlogmas. So we're slowly getting there. We are just about to eat supper. I might put my candle on now, just on the counter. I still have to make my custard for the trifle, and I think I will do that while we are waiting for supper, and then that way it'll cool overnight in the fridge. So I'm going to do that now. I have just lit the Advent candles for supper, and after we have had dinner, I will then light my bayberry candle and do my Christmas Eve cast on. I have 1 batch of the custard in the fridge. I think I'm going to need to make a second batch, but otherwise my checklist is coming along nicely. We are going to have some green peas, potatoes, and steak for supper. It is just past 8:30. My bag is ready. My yarns are ready. I've got the pattern. Here are my needles. Here is my bayberry candle, and I am going to try to successfully light this. And I love this part of my Christmas Eve tradition. Lighting my bayberry candle. There we are. And I will let it burn. I've put it on the plate. There we go. Beautiful. And I am now going to make myself a cup of tea. Take out my chow goose, and I will be casting on this lovely gold as I make these beautiful feathering the nest socks. And this will be my project bag. And there is my attempt from last year. So it's all going to be good. Let the relaxing evening begin. I am just looking at my checklist. Only a couple more things to do, so stockings, and I'll do that just before bed. And my Christmas Eve cast on, I'm just about to start, and then I'll do a few stitches on that so that I can technically have my Christmas Eve cast on done, and then I will edit Vlogmas and upload, and then continue doing a bit more knitting. I have just made myself a lovely cup of tea. This is the mulled cider tea bag packet that I bought myself when I was in Camden Passage in London. So I have made a lovely cup of tea, and I would like to say cheers to a blessed Christmas and a happy New Year. I would also like to say a huge thank you for tuning in this month to my Vlogmas. I hope that you enjoyed our time in London, our flight back to Toronto, and then our flight from Toronto to Vancouver. We've been pretty much homebound for a lot of the second half of December, and it's been a bit quiet after such a big start in London. But thank you so much for joining me for Vlogmas, and on behalf of Greg, Isaac, Nathaniel, and myself, we wish you a happy 2023, and cheers to the happiest of New Year's, and as I said, a very blessed Christmas. Cheers. Yummy. Okay, I have my bayberry candle going in the background. It is now time to take out my Chow-Goo needles. Ooh, they're brand new too, never been used. They'll be a little bit slick, very sticky. I didn't have a 32-inch cable, only a 40. And I have this beautiful gold yarn, and we are going to cast on sock 2 from my silly trying to do the pattern backwards of the Be the Light socks. So I'm going to do German cast on. It's a stretchy cast on, a little bit stretchier. German long tail cast on, I think it is. And I'm going to put my 64 on, and then I will do a couple of rounds before I finish off today's vlog and get this edited and uploaded. So I am wishing you a nice quiet Christmas Eve. I hope that you enjoyed your Christmas Eve, your Christmas Day, whatever day it is that you are watching this. I hope that you are having a fabulous day, and I will look forward to seeing you a little bit over Twixtmas. I think I'll put a little Twixtmas video up with, I've got a little bit more footage from London that I would like to share. And then I think that I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break in January, which I usually do. And I think normal podcasting will resume on 19th of January. I was looking at the clock the other day, the calendar the other day, and I think the 19th of January seems like a good Thursday to start back up, share what I've been working on. It's a possibility I might have at least one sock to share with you. We'll see how it goes, but not holding my breath on that one. Anyway, I have a few stitches cast on. Alligator teeth. Now we are ready to join in the round. It's always so hard to knit when someone's watching you, isn't it?
In excelsis Deo, Gloria, in excelsis Deo.
No Christmas is complete without a visit from our 2 swans a-swimming. Unfortunately, we don't have 7 swans a-swimming here. Only 2. Yes, I know. Snort, snort. Anyway, a very merry to you from our float home to your lovely home. And, of course, a very merry from Prancer and Dancer. Or actually, Dancer and Prancer. That would actually be the real little bit. And you got a little wave. Merry Christmas.